Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of the Lean with Leanne Confessions of a Diet Queen podcast. Thank you so much for joining in on episode 1. It was really great to have Tom on, and we have got our virtual charity event kicking off soon and can't wait to tell you all about that. Episode 2, I have a great guest on. I'm really excited to have her. Fellow Winners 2000 Queen, manager of Torquay branch, and dual fitness model and figure pro, Hannah Bryant. We're going to be talking all things fitness, female fitness, bodybuilding, the pros and cons for your physical and mental health, and everything that is involved in preparing for a show. So, without further ado, let me get her on the screen. And here she is. Hi, Han.
Hi, do I do the double wave?
Yeah, do the little jazz hands. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. And thank you very much for having me on. I'm very honoured.
You're so welcome. I'm excited. How are you coping with lockdown and no gym?
Well, I think it sucks, and I don't think having such crazy weather helps. And I think you just got to keep yourself busy. I mean, my days don't seem to be any different. I still only seem to be sitting down for like television till like 8 o'clock, and then I watch an hour, and then I'm like, oh my god, I got to go to bed, and then get up again. So I'm not filling my days with Netflix. I kind of, I know what I should be doing and what I shouldn't be doing. And I had one morning where I had a Netflix day, and morning until 10. But apart from that, yeah, it's good. It's just get fresh air, get moving, chat to people. Just got to go with the flow, haven't you?
Keep on plodding on. That's what I say. We are going to be talking about all things to do with your fitness journey and how you got into the fitness industry and bodybuilding shows, which I'm excited about. But for those people that might not know you, do you want to give us a little introduction into who Hannah Bryant is?
Oh, yeah. So, I'm originally a Torquay girl, where we're based. And I went off to London to professional dance school for 3 years and majored in jazz, ballet and contemporary. And then I stayed in London, lived in London. So I had 10 years working up there, and then came back home. And just before I came back home, I just transitioned into a basic fitness instructor, personal trainer, exercise to music teacher. So when I came back here, I got a job at Winners within, I think, the first 6 months of being back. So I've been in the industry now for 21 years.
Woo!
Starting from basic fitness instructor, teaching aerobics, step and everything. So we had 50 people in the classes at once when we first opened. We were so busy with that kind of side of exercise. And then I've just morphed from fitness instructor, then personal training took over. Then we went from personal trainer, and I started becoming a bit of a leader, which is quite natural for me. And then eventually morphed into the role of site manager for Winners. So in theory, I've had a healthy lifestyle. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like to party, and I partied hard when I was in my 20s. There'll be a few stories there. But, then I morphed into a different career, and here I am, still here 21 years later.
I love it. You are the original Winners Queen. I love that. So 21 years at Winners 2000. I think the question on everyone's lips is, how have you survived Simon Jeffries that long?
Yeah, well, I suppose I don't hang around with him as much as I used to. So I suppose that's probably why I've hung around longer.
He's not that bad.
I think. Say that again.
He's not that bad.
He's not that bad. No, I mean, I owe a lot of my career to him, really. Right at the beginning when we were a very small business, I learned absolutely shed loads from him. And he opened my mind, really, to many possibilities. And I think he was a very good role model and very good mentor. And we were really all finding our paths at the beginning. And I think he placed such a huge belief in me and made me realise that there was more potential to me when I had a dream or a goal. And so I owe a lot to him, really. And then the rest is how I've been able to push it all forward, really. And I never thought I'd end up managing a gym. You know, I thought I'd be an aerobic teacher in like a village hall, living my life dream, and, you know, children, just juggling everything. I never kind of thought I didn't ask for the job. I didn't apply for the job. I just suddenly one day got, oh, by the way, you're now the manager of the gym, you know. But you just morph into it, I think.
Yeah, like a natural progression.
Yeah.
I never knew that you went to dance school.
Didn't you?
No, I never knew that.
That Simon likes to tell everyone I was a professional stripper for some reason. I think he thinks that's quite funny.
Why am I not surprised?
But yes. But yes, I was a professional dancer. That was my dream. I did theatre studies and dance A level, and I really thought I was going to go down the drama route and go to drama school. And my dance teacher was like, I'm not really quite sure if you're really cut out for dance. And I remember her, like, you know, professionally. And I remember just being really like, wow, you know, I've just spent 2 years doing my A-level with you, and I'm here with my parents talking about a possible career future and telling you what I want to do. And I couldn't believe she kind of said that. And I was like, well, do you know what? I still really want to do this. So I went off and auditioned, and I got scholarships for dance and drama schools. And I was going to go to like a stage school, and I was all ready to go there. And then I went to a contemporary dance school at the last minute, and Devon County Council were just about to cut the grants. And I was the last year in that got a full grant. And I went off and I spent 3 years there. And then I spent, 7 years professionally working. So it just goes to show, doesn't it? I think you've just got to go with what you enjoy, really, at the end of the day. And the rest you make it yourself, you know?
Wow, that's incredible. And I guess really that experience has helped you transition into your bodybuilding shows and your fitness modeling as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think like living in London was great, dancing was great, and then loads of funding started getting cut for all the big companies, and it got harder and harder. And the more auditions you went to, the more and more younger people coming out of stage school you were against. And I didn't have the singing and the jazz hands to go with. I was more about rolling around on the floor with a chair, you know, all very contemporary abstract, which was getting smaller and smaller. And I remember coming back home and meeting my two girlfriends and just sitting there saying, I don't know what to do. Life's changing, but I really don't know what to do. And I was like, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. And they said, well, you'd be a good aerobics teacher. And I laughed and said, how can I face a group and go right?
Great fun.
You've got to go. You say go to your right, but do you know what I mean? It's the other way around, isn't it? Because you face people. And I laughed. Anyway, I went back to London and I signed up for a course. And then it was amazing. The exercise to music, the counting, the performing side, the creativity for the choreography. I was just in my element, because for me, it was another way of using my personality, which was loving people, having fun, teaching people to get fit. And I've really found my another vocation, really. And so it was just an extension of the dance going into the fitness, and then going into the teaching. And then female bodybuilding was around, but it wasn't really very big. And Simon and I took a trip to I think it was sorry, that's
little Bella. Hi, Bella.
Bella. Yeah. We took a trip, and I can't remember the name of the place. And UK BFF launched a female bodybuilding called Body Fitness, and the girls came out in a one piece. They came out in a bikini, and you had to showcase a short, a short presentation using all your muscles, a routine. And I was like, oh, wow, that's great. An extension of me being able to compete on the stage. That's exciting. making up my own choreography and showing off my moves and putting on a little bit of muscle and showcasing that. So we went to watch it, and he was like, yeah, you can do that. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And he was like, yeah, you can do that. So I spent the next like couple of years like working on just my training, because I've never really had a big formal gym training. And then he sent me off to New York, and I went off with a holiday from Winners, and went off to Bev Francis's gym, she's like one of the female pioneers of bodybuilding. She's got a gym on Long Island, and I went off and I trained with a girl that she placed 9th in Olympia in figure pro.
Wow.
And so I went off there and had a couple of weeks training, came back, went out the following year, did some more training with her. And then they said, we're going to open up a show. And I said, oh, and it was Easter. And I rang Simon coming back from my training session. And I was on like some pre-workout caffeine drink, and caffeine and me, just this like, it was a crazy combination. And I was like, I've just had such a great session. Oh my God, I've learned all this and I've learned all that. And he's like, whoa, slow down. And he was working shift at Torquay. And he's like, right, yeah. Are you off your head? Yeah. Okay, you're on caffeine. I'm like, yeah. And they've got a show in November, and I'm going to go for it. And he was like, oh, right, okay. And I was like, yes, I'm coming back in November. And I went back out, and it was an Eastern USA Eastern qualifier. So it was the last one you could hit before you moved into regionals. And I went, smashed it, and placed second in my first show against all Americans. And I couldn't go any further because I wasn't a US citizen. So, and then that was it. That was the start of my competing.
The start of your bodybuilding journey. I think it's really interesting how you've transitioned like through your journey from one stage to another stage, just a different sort of performing art as such. Because like I said, I never realised that you were a dancer. So I can totally see why you would join the fitness industry and then naturally want to be on stage still. Getting right into the details of bodybuilding, and you are obviously the expert, I am not, hence why I've asked you on here. Can you talk us through what category you typically compete in? Because I know there are lots of different categories, aren't there?
Yeah. So there is, right now there's like a natural fitness one, which is just a curvy girl with an hourglass figure, who just like you would just look at on the beach and say, oh, she looks tight and toned, but she's a bit peachy, a bit like that. Then there's the bikini, which is like a girl that you'd look at on the beach and you would say, oh, she looks like athletic, not too muscly, not too skinny. And then there is figure, which is where now they are transitioning to like proper female bodybuilders. And then there's fitness as well, which is where they do a crazy routine, and they've normally got some crazy gymnastic skills behind them. So there's now different levels of aesthetics to women, whereas when I came in, it was just women's bodybuilding, and that was it. And a lot of women didn't want to become that big, so then they brought in figure. But figure now is big because they brought in all the other little categories to try and involve more women, I guess.
Yeah, so do you think, that's my next question, that they have introduced lots more categories to make the sport essentially more accessible to more females?
Yeah, definitely. In my opinion, I think that the female sport was heavily declining because there was a lot of women that didn't want to be this big. And I always had people saying to me, oh, so you're doing figure? And I'd be like, yeah. And I'd have people put their hand on my shoulder and go, oh, great. You're not going to do like steroids and get that big, are you? And I was like, there are natural figure bodybuilders out there. Not everybody has to take gear. And I've got no interest in growing a beard, thank you, or just, you know what I mean, having biceps bigger than the man in the gym. I just want to showcase an aesthetic quality of my body so it looks athletic, and that I'm just totally like Wonder Woman, totally in proportion kind of thing. And that's kind of was always just like my goal. And I think that the sport was declining a lot in the women, and they started to bring in the bikini category, which came in first of all underneath the figure. and they were really poo-pooed. You know, they still do now. You know, oh, you don't have to train that hard to be a bikini model. Well, you do. You still, and obviously there are bikini models that take a lot of steroids in the type of diuretics and harsh astringents in the body to get that lean, that ripped, or that vascular, or that hard. But obviously there are natural competitors as well. And then I think people didn't want to be as tight as the bikini, so they brought in like a wellness, or my category was fitness model. Like we don't really have such great magazines over here anymore. Everything's going digital. But in America, you always got Oxygen, or not Women's Health, because they're just like, they're not really a competitive bodybuilder. But like Oxygen or Muscle and Fitness Hers, they always used to do. And I used to love buying those, because they were just girls on the cover and inside demonstrating a lat pull down or demonstrating a lateral raise, but they were athletic. They had a really nice quality about them, a healthy quality. And so that's why I aspired to do the fitness model. And that's actually where I probably could have gone originally right from the beginning, because I think that really suited my body more, because I found it quite hard to put on muscle. But fitness model wasn't around then. So figure was the only one for me, really.
Yeah, so you didn't have quite as much choice. Do you think that there is a common misconception that bodybuilders in general, as well as female bodybuilders, are on steroids?
Yeah, definitely. And to be fair, I think probably a lot of them are. You know, in my opinion, like when you're looking at people, you're like, well, that's not maintainable for a start. I mean, I've worked with people that say they're, non-steroid. They say they're natural. Well, that's fine. They might be natural now, but they got a leg up from doing it a while back, because those crazy boulder shoulders and other parts of their body, they had some help originally. But don't get me wrong, they've trained very hard to still keep that. But I think there is a big misconception or conception that they are.
Bit of a stigma. Can you talk us through what prep would sort of look like for you? Like, how many weeks would it take for you to prepare for a show, and what really the work that has to go into you getting ready to be on the stage?
Okay, so I always came with, there's no such, for me, I always said there was no such thing as an off season, because back in the day when there wasn't so many categories, you saw a lot of people get really fat, watery to get big. Yeah. And Simon would always say to me, you're going to have to take a hit in this off season, as in the season that you're not competing in. You're going to have to eat more calories. You're going to have to walk around not so in shape. You're not going to like it. You might not be as comfortable. But I could never really get there, because I could never really put on a lot of weight. And I never really liked the idea of being, I used to think that was so detrimental to your body, going one way, and you wouldn't even recognize some of these people. And then you see them on stage and they look totally different, the amount of transformation that they've made for the dieting side. I wanted to always be able to kind of present myself, and then also have my showcase self. Yeah. So for me, a 12-week diet roughly was great for me. But if I had a girl coming to me that was totally wacko, out of shape, then I would suggest that she didn't do this competition. She waited a few months and got herself taught before you start dieting, because I just think it really messes around with hormones, as you know, yo-yo dieting, all that kind of thing. And I didn't want to be really responsible for myself or responsible for other people. So typically, I think a healthy, like 12-week kind of countdown, but I think you've got to be in a good place to start with, really. Be in balance as much as you can.
Yeah, because...
So for me, it would be like 12.
Carry on, sorry.
So I think for me, like a 12-week countdown was great, because then you kind of get down your first 8 weeks, and then you've got your last 4 weeks to kind of play with, really. And I would train between 3 and 4 times a week weightlifting, And then my cardio would be on the days that I didn't lift. And then eventually the cardio came in on the days that I did lift as well. But I never did a 7-day week. Everything was normally five or six. And it would only be originally, it was always like legs and shoulders, chest and back. What have I missed out? Chest and shoulders,
Biceps,
legs and
triceps.
yeah. So it would be a split, be a 3-day or a 4-day split, and then the cardio would only really start off a couple of 15 minutes a week, and then the second week a couple of 20 minutes, and then the third week 3 lots of 20, and then the following week 3 lots of 25. So it moved in tiny increments of 5 minutes extra each session, which culminated in an extra 15-20 minutes a week. So there was nothing crazy. You just worked with it, and then you could work with your calories, whether you needed a little bit more, like a little bit less.
Yeah, so it sounds like you've come from quite a healthy approach to prep and dieting. But do you think that now there are more categories and it seems a lot more people are getting involved in the sport, that there's almost like this yo-yo diet pattern that comes in with people that prep? Because I've seen, people that I follow on social media and stuff go from just training normally to having this absolutely epic schedule of exercise, reducing calories, and then do their show and then can put on loads of weight again and then prep again and then gain again and prep again. And it is the same as a yo-yo diet cycle, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think there's a lot more pressure. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't really know how much whether the sport really is building, because I feel like now everybody's just after this body, and everybody wants a certain body to look a certain way. And I think that, with men's bodybuilding, nobody wanted to be such a big Ronnie Coleman or a Jay Cutler anymore. Nobody wanted to be a really big beefy bodybuilder. So they brought in men's physique, didn't they, with the board shorts.
Yeah.
Which meant men could hide their legs, but they had their little calves, so they had to kind of work on that bit. And then they brought in another category for men, because I think now men are after the ultimate beach body, that the classic physique of on the beach in a pair of shorts and feel in shape and have people go, wow, they look in shape. And I think these days girls just want to be in a bikini looking like they've worked out with either this ridiculous bum craze thing that's going on, or whether they just want to look really healthy. So I'm interested now with the lockdown kind of side of things, like where the sport is going really, because there never used to be the social media side of it. You only ever got your dreams and aspirations from magazines really, or looking on the internet, whereas now it's just played everywhere, isn't it? There's so much pressure now that I think there's probably more pressure in how you look at social media than having the guts to go on stage,
Yeah, 100%. And this is another big reason why I really wanted to get you on the podcast to talk about this sort of thing, because I think it's really interesting to hear your perspective as someone who's competed on the maintainability and all the aspects that go into prep and what your body looks like for that moment on stage. And one of the important things that I wanted to ask you was really, when you've worked hard for your 12 weeks and you're on the stage and you're in, let's call it your peak physique, ready to be judged on the stage, is that really maintainable for the rest of your life, that condition?
No, and that's what everybody used to say, like that fine window of the last couple of days and that show date and being on stage for that day, that's just not maintainable, because you've depleted. For me, I depleted my carbohydrates, then I would refuel the night before, and I'd cut my water at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I would only literally have sips if I needed to. I'd have a glass of wine or something in the evening to help make me more vascular, so that everything would pull into my muscles. I'd be stripping all the water away, so that in the following morning I was so dry that, and my water wouldn't be until probably that evening, till after the show had finished. So yeah, it's like it's not maintainable. And I always looked far better the day after my show, when I left that show and I went off and had like burger and fries and like a couple of glasses of wine. And the next morning I'd wake up and I would look always better. And I think my pictures, the picture of me in the purple bra top that you posted, and the pictures of me in my black bikini, that they are literally when I just really started to get things right, I think, which was not to be so tight on everything. If you're ready to go, just go with what you've got. And I think it always showed that by having a good night's sleep, eating those foods, I was always better the next day. So my photo shoot pictures always look better than my stage pictures. But you couldn't take that gamble the night before when you were going to be going on stage to be judged by 7 people.
Yeah, that's tricky, isn't it?
It is, and no, it's not maintainable. It's not maintainable.
Yeah. So my question then is, when I think of it from my perspective, being that, first of all, I don't think I could mentally be strong enough to compete in a show, because hats off to you, that's just my idea of absolute hell, being in a bikini in front of loads of people on stage. But do you ever mentally or emotionally struggle with the fact that when you step onto stage or when you are having a photo shoot, that physique is not going to be maintainable for you? Is that sometimes hard for you to deal with?
I love the show prep because I think it's a controlled, and I don't think I'd ever really thought about that before. I know where my food's coming. I know where my sleep is. I know when you do everything. I love the leading up to it. I love the traveling overseas for the last 5 or 6 years of it. That was just such a thrill, and I love being on stage, and I love the photo shoot process. And I think because I never really go one way or the other with my body, I kind of like can't maintain it, but I can always then move into like what I think is a healthy look.
Yeah.
After, but I never try and pull myself back to that stage, because I know that that's not achievable. And you try and tell everybody that is only really for those judges on that day. That's where you get, judged on. After that, your body is your own body. But I feel like I think for me, the photo shoot side was always a chance to show off my hard work. And I knew that I would be fuller because I would have eaten more calories. And to me, that was a really good kind of, I had a lot of work in Canada. And I owe a lot of my great photo shoots to Canada, because I just think they just really know what they're doing over there. They're just more on the ball than we are over here. And I just had a lot more opportunities. So I really enjoyed the side of the show after the show, and the magazine work and all of that. And then I enjoyed taking my time, bringing my body back to where it was. And then don't get me wrong, you do then go, oh, my bum's not as tight. And the only way I'm going to get my tight bum, the only way I'm ever going to get my bum to be how I really would have liked it to be now all the time, is how I looked in my last show in my black bikini and my photo shoot. My bum is no way near going to be that bum unless I'm in a contained state. And you have to just let that go. You have to say, that was for a reason. That was my job. I did my job. But I would be having to put myself under such strict and harsh conditions to keep that bum the way it is. So you do have to really kind of work hard and just say, it's not going to be like that, because that's not realistic. That was a job, and I did the job, and now I can only do the best I can after it,
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's really great to hear that you have got, mentally you're switched on to that, because I know that there are probably other people out there that maybe want to get involved in bodybuilding, or even just for general people thinking, oh, I really want to look like that. I really want to look like that. But the reality of the situation is, quite often when you see these pictures on social media and you see a lot of people on the cover of magazines, that is a snapshot of those 12 weeks of hard work where they have, you know, like you say, depleted and really worked really hard, and they don't look like that all year round. And that's really an important message, isn't it?
Definitely. And I think the thing that I'm really shocked about on social media is when I see people's bodies, I can't believe that people even do so much doctoring to themselves, you know, which I think is even more pressure now for somebody looking for the body part. I don't think I've never doctored a picture or a photo. I put like a filter on to give it a bit more of a, you know, a warmer glow or a brightening effect. But I've never done anything where you're reducing sizes and
Yeah.
your backgrounds. I just think it's so wrong, you know. I can't believe that people do it. But yeah, I think you're right. I think people have to understand there's a process, and you know, and when I get a lot of girls now, you know, I try to be, I probably am too harsh now, rather than, because it's like you're not going to look like that in your first show. Look at you now where you are. You've probably got to spend the next year really diet and chili health. You can really work on these 12 weeks in a really good place. But just saying now, because you've broken up with your husband and you want to go on stage to say fuck him and I want to go on stage, well, that's not going to do you any good, you know. You're still going to have a fat ass in 12 weeks because you're hormonally all over the place. You know, work on your body, get it perfect, get it to a really good place, then go and do your 12-week diet. You know,
Yeah.
I've never done as a trainer. As a trainer, I've never run any challenges. I've never done an 8-week challenge, a 4-week challenge. I'd rather give somebody a 2-week paleo cleanse, really help them through that, build in their carbs for week 3, week 4, get a maintenance diet week 5, and then work with them. To me, that's. But I guess I've had years of experience for that, and the challenges I think is something that's come in, you know, not so recently. But I think people are after a quick fix, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. And like,
And
obviously I do
yeah,
an 8-week challenge, but mine is not who can lose the most amount of weight in 8 weeks, is who can learn the most in 8 weeks. Because, you know, when I get
yeah,
these women who have been in the same position as me into the 8-week challenge, you know, most of them are aspiring to be something that is non-maintainable or achievable, or they have spent years doing these crash diets, and like you say, hormonally they are totally ruined, and it's about building them back up and more or less fixing the mental health side of things more than the physical side and the science base behind fat loss. So yeah, I'm totally
definitely.
with you on that. I was going to ask you, obviously you compete a lot, well, predominantly in America. What would you say, how come you prefer America over the UK?
Oh well, I think my first experience was New York, so that obviously, you know, really set something deep inside. That's where I really wanted to go. You know, I really wanted to end up on the Olympia stage, really. But to get an IFB pro card, it's no figure. You had to be really big, you know, big girls, and I just knew I wasn't going to get that if I wanted to stay natural. So I kind of was looking around for. I did a few years in the UK and got a bit despondent with how it's been run over here. I think we're quite closed books, and we're down here in the southwest, and we're all up here in Yorkshire, and we all love each other, and we all know each other, and it's hard to get in, you know. And I kind of felt like it was never a level playing field, and I was looking for something really different. And I came across a federation in Canada who were an all fitness federation, all natural, and he had very much same beliefs and ethos and mission statement as I felt I did. And so yeah, so I just decided to, didn't know them, didn't know anybody in Canada, signed up and just took myself off. And my mum came with me and went and had my first competition. And it was such an amazing experience of from being greeted, from being treated. Everybody was so super friendly. There was no hierarchy. There was no like, this is my room, this is my space. Everybody just, and of course, you're over from the pond. They just love Canada, love the English people because they love the Queen. They just like love all that. So we were super welcomed, and I was just like, oh yeah, this feels like somewhere I feel I can go. And they had their own pro division. So my goal was, okay, well, I'll stay. I'll just move this way to getting a pro card with a natural fitness federation, and I was competing against UK, Australia, Canada, America, France. So yeah, it was a good thing to do, and it felt like I was living the dream. You know, when you opened a magazine and you had the opportunities working with them as well out there, it just felt like the right thing to do. So yeah, it was great. It was a great time.
Oh, good. It does sound fun. Um, what, in terms of your training now compared to when you're training for a show, what sort of
Yeah.
training are you doing at the moment, and what does your sort of working week look like in terms of training, obviously when the gym's open?
Sure. Well, everybody thinks I must. Everybody thinks I must just train every day, all day. You know, because I guess I like to try and keep my body fit, athletic. I like to live by like an 80-20% rule of my food. I like to kind of like relax it. And I think that's probably helped me get a stronger physique that I've got now, as so I'm not in that competitive side. And I only lift about 3 times a week. And I now have just now worked out that a total body workout works really well for me rather than my splits. I'm finding that's giving me enough recovery. So yeah, 3 lots of total body workouts. I started doing the Brett Contreras, signed up to his program because I felt like I needed to give Simon a bit of a break. He was really busy writing programs for people. Business was moving forward, and I thought, I feel like I need something else, you know, and I feel like I've learned a lot from this, and I feel like my body's grown, and I think it's it's worked out well for me. And then on the other day offs, I'll do like sled recovery work. I'm just started getting back into yoga, obviously long walks with the dog. So it's really and teaching on a Tuesday night. But yeah, my main lifts, which come around so fast, I'm just lifting 3 times a week. But that seems to suit me and suit my body really.
Yeah, I do 3 total bodies as well. And my classes, obviously. I want to get a little bit in. Oh, go on.
It's funny because a long time ago, like total bodies were just poo-pooed. You know, you had to do an arm workout, you had to do chest and back, you had to do shoulders and arms, you had to do legs and abs. And I think for me, because I'm a hard gainer, an ectomorph, like a marathon runner, so to speak, it takes a lot to build muscle for me. And it takes a lot. And I think doing those body parts, then only coming round to chest again once a week, and then only coming round to legs once a week, it just wasn't really enough. And I think having those 3 total body workouts have made a huge change, isn't it? Because you've got your squats one day, you've got your deadlifts the next day, you've got your big bench press the next day, you've got chins, and you can have chins in 2 or 3 times a week rather than once a week. So my body's responded very well to total body workouts, and yeah, I love them actually.
Yeah, for me, it's such a better mental stimulation because I was previously doing like your typical push pull legs type workout, and I was just getting so bored of it, so bored. So yeah, I love doing the total body stuff, and I love doing like the finishers at the end. Although don't tell John that because I tell him that I hate him, but. He always laughs at me because every time he gives me something new, I say, "Oh, this is the worst thing ever." He says, "You say that every time."
Well, it's working because you're looking great, doll. So
oh, thanks. One day I'll look like you, Han.
Oh, yes.
I want to ask now. I want to get into some like proper female type questions to do with fitness and show prep and bodybuilding. You've said before in some of your answers about hormonal balance and stuff like that. And as more and more people are becoming aware of hormones in the game of fat loss and fitness and mental health and stuff, do you think that prepping for a show can have a detrimental effect on your hormones?
100%. Yeah, definitely. Because I obviously, like, there can be some people can't sleep very well. The mental stress, the physical stress, the fact of what they're eating, whether they're having any supplements. Yeah, definitely huge amount of stress on the body, physical, mentally and emotionally. And I always say to everyone, are you sure you really want to do it? It's quite hard, you know. And I feel like, and then when you do your first show, bearing in mind I didn't have any clients when I did my first show because the personal training wasn't really such a big thing, you know. I was just getting paid wages like a fitness instructor. It takes over everything, as a lot of things do. When you start a business or you start doing something properly, your focus is there, isn't it? Chase two rabbits, one will get away. So you have to focus on one. And so you live in this bubble. You know, I didn't drink alcohol. I didn't want to go out. I just, you know, this was, you know, you become obsessed with it really. And I think as your years go on, I get to know, I can have a glass of wine in my prep lead up because I know my body's okay with that. I know how to change my calories around. But if you don't know, then like it's very tough. And I think if it's your first show and you're a mum or you're busy at work and you've already just said you don't have chances to eat very much and your hours are crazy, how are you going to go to the gym? I hate having that responsibility for somebody because you're pushing them into such an area that is very unknown for them. And then if they haven't got any coping skills or any tools, I think it's, I think it can be a complete disaster. And I've seen some disasters, you know, and I see girls now that aren't doing it, but are disasters really, you know. And I just think it's just terrible because, you know, it can really mess with your head as well as your body, as well as your hormones, definitely.
And have you ever had any sort of like bad experiences on prep or anything with your health or your mental health?
The only thing for me was that I started to get a lot of candida, a yeast overgrowth in the gut, and certain sugars wouldn't work. I couldn't really have very many carbs. I do much better on a protein and fat diet. And we studied metabolic typing back in the day, and I know that proteins and fats work better for me. But obviously, I know that I needed to get some carbs in for kind of building. And a couple of my show prep diets were literally just protein and fats and no carbs at all because my body couldn't handle anything. And that's a lot when you're actually putting your body under stress with exercising and doing the cardio. It's a huge stress. I wouldn't say mental stress for me, but a hard stress on my body trying to do something but not able to tolerate certain foods to actually get me there. So no, I feel like I haven't suffered with. I don't think I would have been doing it this long because it was 10 years of competing, probably about 15 shows I've done, and it's the only thing that 1 year I think I did 3 shows. I think I did one in the UK to try and get in for another federation, and then I think I then had a second one where I gave it another go in another federation to get through to the finals of the federation that I first started with. That was a hard year. But the only thing that's the thing that's come out of it all is that always in January I would be exhausted, and the shows would finish in November. December I just love so much because I've been in Canada, so as soon as Remembrance Sunday's out the way, they go into Thanksgiving and they go into Halloween and all that kind of stuff. So you go to Canada and everywhere's celebrating Christmas, and you're like me, love Christmas.
Yeah.
So all the Christmas coffees and the food and all that would be out in Canada. So I would love it. So as soon as I came back to England, I'd get my family come from a 12 days before, 12 days after Christmas tree. I'm like, yeah, let's get the Christmas stuff out 1st of December. Really enjoy it. And I used to really enjoy the lead up of Christmas food, be really, really into it. But come January, I would be absolutely whacked. So tired that it would take me to like February, March before I could really feel like I was functioning in the mornings. And since I've actually stopped competing, I got diagnosed with an overactive thyroid.
Okay.
Which was I just wasn't very well. I started to get really tired. We'd done the 3 peak challenge,
yeah,
and that had been really busy 3 weeks back to back, three days back to back, real long weekend, felt great, no problem at all. That was September, moved into October, November. By December, I was like exhausted. I was like crying all the time. My chins, I couldn't even do a chin up with a band. I was like, couldn't even do one chin up with a band. And if you watch me, you know I obviously can do chins. And I was like, I couldn't even get up with a band. And I was like, this is not good. And I went to the doctors, and they sent me to the blood tests and then the hospital. And then I got diagnosed with an overactive thyroid. And then it was told that I had to take the medication because if I didn't, I could collapse and die. And I was like,
Brilliant.
okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. And so my thyroid took a major hit. Now, whether that thyroid took a major hit from all the years of competing, I don't know. I've always been very lean all my life. I've never suffered with a weight problem. So I could have had a slight defective thyroid all the way through. But I'm sure years of working in this business and the competing side, and obviously the physical and emotional stress that comes with it that you just brush off, because to me it's another hat you wear. You know, I used to come home, tidy up the house, do my emails, go back to work, have a training session, you know, come back, put a hat on, walk the dog, go see my mum and dad, put a hat on. It was just jobs, and I just got to handle all my jobs. And I think eventually, my my thyroid just decided to give up on me.
Yeah, so potentially, I guess that was one, like a negative effect of years of, you know, dieting for shows and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's interesting because I would be like, well, why have I got that? You know, I've never gone fat to thin, overeaten, got a problem, messed around with my, you know, but obviously the physical, the mental stress. And I think working in this industry, we work a lot. You know, we do work a lot, and I feel like just maybe it all just was part and parcel. The only good thing is literally last week I had a letter from the hospital, and they've taken me off my medication.
Oh, amazing, Hannah!
Because they gave me a label and told me not only did I have an overactive thyroid, I had Graves' disease, and these things can be very hard to, you know, get rid of. Once you've got a problem, you've got a problem. And I got a letter last week, and I think having a healthy body, living a healthy lifestyle, having a good positive mindset, and all that kind of stuff has allowed me to come off the medication. And now at least I know if I never feel right again, then I have to go back and go back on small days, I guess. But hopefully now I'm aware, and I'm not in that situation now of the external stressors that go with it. So yeah, I guess it could have come from competing, or it could have always been there, and I just accelerated something up by what I was doing, you know.
Yeah, I think it's amazing to hear that you're better. Well done. And yeah, it's important to sometimes reflect, isn't it, and see if maybe the hard work you've put in has had a long-term effect on your body. But I mean, also, you know, potentially the fitness side of things and the sport of bodybuilding has played a role in that, but also that has also been one of the most positive things in making you get better. So it's finding that balance, isn't it, that's important.
Yeah, that's right.
So any plans for any more shows?
Oh, I would. Do you know, there's probably a day that doesn't go by that I want to be competing again, and that I want to be on the stage, because I want to be in a photo shoot. You know, I just love it all. And for the last 18 months, there is nothing that floats my boat, you know, and everybody is so happy to see me healthy and loving life and having more balance. You know, everybody loves it. And when I say to people, oh, well, I don't know, everyone's like, well, you know, you've done so well, you know, and I think, yeah, you know, I have done really well. And I probably need to accept that more, that what I did was great, and that I still am doing really good things. I want to be a role model for the gym. I want to be a role model for women my age, you know. I want to help them with their weight and their hormones. I want to show them that life, you know, I'm 49 this August, and I want to be able to just keep, showing people that you can live the lifestyle. You don't have to give everything up, And yeah, I would love to compete. I don't really know whether I should ever put my body through anything again, because now I know that I was poorly. I think that could be very detrimental to my health, and I think that would just be a real shame to push myself in another situation. But there's nothing that compares to it all, and I haven't really found my buzz for anything else. I'm not really into running or the cycling. I like all that stuff hobby wise, but yeah, I miss it, and I guess that's been part of me, the dancing. I've been dancing since I was 3, so but I am in an active job, and I do enjoy it. But yeah, I would love to, but I think I would have to go overseas, because there really isn't much for over here in the UK, but probably better to not, but you can always dream.
Well, I was going to say, you can always join me on my Zumbas, because I think you'd get a buzz from that, doing a little Hannah and Leanne Zumba session.
Yeah, I've watched those. Yeah.
But just from my personal perspective, when you say you want to inspire women your age, like, you inspire me, and I think that you don't have to step onto stage to inspire people, because what you do in the gym, out of the gym, and just as like a female boss, I like to call it, who's built her own business, is really successful in the fitness industry in loads of different aspects, like, that is really inspirational to me, and another reason why I wanted you on the podcast.
Thank you. A friend said to me last week, I think you just need to learn to accept that it's okay to be okay. You just don't have to keep feeling like you've got to do this, or it's okay. Just step back and breathe, and just be, see where you are. And and I find that really difficult, because I always keep thinking, well, there must be something. I've got to do something. I've got to drive this, or I need to learn that. And she's just like, just
chill, babes, chill.
So I did the Anthony Robbins thing last week. So I was like, right, I must self-develop, take time in this lockdown. And I loved it so much, because we started doing that back in 2003, I think. So there's been many years I've followed his work, but now I've bought my ticket for the Unleash the Power Within. I'm going to be totally immersed for 4 days, and I'm buzzing about that. I guess I'm trying to always look for another breakthrough, for something, because I think the competing, that I was on this thing, and I just need to relax and see what's around now. But it is difficult, because that's been such a big focus of mine.
Yeah, and I guess you've got in a habit of like always preparing yourself to compete at something. It's almost like an adrenaline rush, isn't it? Like training for an event, training for something else, and then when that's suddenly not part of your life anymore, it's like, oh well, what am I supposed to do now?
Yeah, absolutely. It comes back to I finished the show. I then went back and did a photo shoot the year after, and had a lovely, great holiday with my friend. And then you start going, right, what's my purpose? Well, your purpose is to be here and help people, isn't it? Your purpose is to run the gym, do a good job of it, change people's lives, inspire your clients, inspire your colleagues. You want to be able to do that, but there's nothing but there's that purpose for me was a purpose, and I couldn't every year. That's what I did. And when I made the decision to step back, because I thought, wow, hang on a minute, I started to think to myself, I need to get a life, was what I suddenly thought. Life's passing me by here, and I've had this blinker on, and I've done this, and I've loved it, and I've excelled at it. But there's got to be some balance, and I think it was the right thing to do, to step away. And obviously the thyroid thing didn't come on for another like 18 months later, so it's not as though I got hit by stopping. I just wanted to stop and breathe, and I was like, right, I'm going to change my car, I'm going to get a dog, I'm going to get my first tattoo, and I'm going to get a boyfriend.
That sounds like a midlife crisis, Hannah. No.
I've got past that though. But you know, people are like, really, you want to do all those 4 things? And I was like, yeah, because hang on a minute, all I'm doing is going, there's a show, I've got to do a show, I can't do anything, I've got to do a show, you know. And then you just like realize there's more
to life. Yeah,
really.
There you go. I did have a very lovely comment from a Torquay member called Louisa, who I think is currently doing one of my plans. And she said to me to say on the podcast that she loves training at Torquay Gym and that you're very much an inspiration to her. So I thought I'd give her a little shout out, Louisa.
Thank you, Louisa.
Yeah, very, very sweet. That I think I'm pretty much done with my questions. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast, Hannah, and talking about your journey and your experience. And it's been really interesting. And I know a lot of people will take a lot away from this podcast. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for having me on. It's great. And I was very honoured. So thank you.
You're welcome. We'll have to do Hannah Bryant part 2.
Yeah, you're doing a great job, Leanne. Keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you.